Combat sports fans, welcome to another great edition of Strong Style. I'm your host, Jeremy the Impact York. Want to welcome you guys in as this is Impact Media's weekly dive off the top rope into the world of professional wrestling and mixed martial arts. We'll have a programming note coming up, but as always, we appreciate everybody that tunes in each and every week and makes it so much fun to come on here and talk MMA and pro wrestling, two of my favorite things. So, a little bit of programming note. Um, as far as our UFC coverage and PFL coverage, we are just from here, at least for the foreseeable future, just going to talk about the big events. So UFC, we're not going to talk about the fight nights and things like that so much. If there's a big fight, we might say it. But as far as our UFC coverage, it will mostly be about the big UFC events. That being said, I want to give a quick shout out to friend of the show, Krista Timms Usher, who has a return fight. She is finally back from her injury and she is ready to throw down. And I want to make sure I get this right. She is against Taylor Klimoff tomorrow, November the 7th, live at the Battery in Atlanta. That is down there where the Brave Stadium is. So if you are in the area, I think tickets are super cheap. Go down there, cheer on Krista, tell her the Impact or Impact Media sent you. And Krista, I know you're watching this, so we all the well wishes in the world to you to have a successful, great comeback fight here. We know you're not done. We know you got so much more to add to the MMA world. So we wish you the best, and we'll see you on the other side of it. Speaking of UFC, so the next big UFC event will be on that is November 15th, a couple weeks, or actually next week. UFC 322, Jack Della Maddalena against Islam Makhachev for the welterweight title. Of course, Maddalena is the current champion now. It's got a star-studded event. It also includes Valentina Shevchenko versus Zhang Weili, among others. We will dive more into that card next week, but as I said, we will mainly talk about the main UFC fights here on this show. So I look forward to doing that. And let's dive into some wrestling, right? All right. The NWA last week, they had what was called a King B match. A King B match. And I know what you guys are thinking. What in the world is a King B match, right? What in the world is a King B match? Well, I'll tell you. A King B match is where it starts 3-on-3, and the winning team now becomes a one-on-one-on-one, a triple threat, and the winner of that gets I believe, television title shot or one. It was one of the title shots. It wasn't the heavyweight. It wasn't for Mim's title. It's for because Mims has Mikey Mondo next week that we will have to keep tabs on that. But it is for it is. I think it might be for Austin Idol. It's for one of them. It's for one of the titles. I know that. But this match, what was weird about this match is it contained a trio that tags all the time. So if they win, they would have to face each other for that. And that trio, of course, is the Law. Or make sure I do it right. Including Alexander Lev, Alex Misery, and Crazy Steve, one of my favorite trios. They face Fenrir, Curtis, and Slade. Of course, Slade ended up getting the pinfall over Crazy Steve in that one. So then that set up Slade versus Fenrir versus Curtis, and Fenrir got the victory over Curtis with Slade. A little miffed that he didn't get it. Now I know since then, thanks to the Atlanta tapings, what Slade has been up to since. But Fenrir is really good, so him in a title match should be a lot of fun. I'm sure we're going to see that in the next coming weeks on television. But right after that, we got to see Hammerstone versus Kerry Morton. I have been in some local promoters' ears about booking Kerry Morton. There's a particular, basically dream match that I think could definitely happen, and hope a couple of them make that happen sooner rather than later, because whoever books that first is going to really make something special. Um, but Hammerstone was able to beat Kerry Morton. He tried to call out the Thrillbilly and his other buddy in the what do they call it, the six. He tried to call out his the rest of his crew, and they did not make it out in time. So Hammerstone gets the victory in that one. Good to see him back in the NWA. I think that's a good place for him right now. And then the last match was Carson Drake and Aaron Stevens against EC3 and Smooth of I forgot the name of their tag team, but with Pastor CeeLo, and actually they were able to get the victory as they beat Carson Drake and Aaron Stevens in that one. NWA doing some fantastic stuff, guys. If you don't have the Roku channel or a Roku stick, go get one. They're super cheap, and you get to see Roku and you get to see all your other stuff. It's all on there. Just it's worth doing. And if they ever come to your town, go check them out. I went to go see that show with a friend of the show, Albert, and I actually wasn't covering that show. I got to just be a fan, so sit there and cheer along. Got to see Alexander Lev. Um, got to see the Big LG and Machine Gun Carl Anderson. I mean, got to see a ton of people, and then saw a bunch of people in the crowd. That was fantastic. I know I've talked about that show before, but 4 hours of TV tapings that we witnessed during that one. So definitely a lot of fun. Let's go to AEW Dynamite. Dynamite started off where Orange Cassidy and Darby Allin took on Wheeler Yuta and Daniel Garcia. Just actually a really good match. These are four guys that I'm not going to say that they're going to build on, because I think Orange is closer to the end than he is the beginning. A lot of people don't realize how old he is. But Darby and Orange get the victory in this one. Yuta and Garcia are great, but they're also really great at losing. So they can take losses and people forget. It was good to see Darby and Orange get a win. We got to see Don Callis continue to try to put the Young Bucks in the Callis family. They're not quite ready to do so yet. But thanks to Callis, the Young Bucks got a really cool entrance that was reminiscent of how they normally come out. So when they took on FTR with Stokely Hathaway and Jet Speed and Jurassic Express to be the number one contenders, you had to think maybe the Young Bucks were going to have it in them, right? Young Bucks, part of where I get this from. Instead, it was FTR. I don't know. Just I'm a fan of what FTR has done in their career. I don't like what they're doing now. I mean, maybe that means they're doing it effectively. I don't know. I mean, I know Jet Speed wasn't going to pick to win this. I thought if the Young Bucks didn't, then Jurassic Express could, because now that they're teaming together, I feel like they're going to start pushing them again. But instead, it was FTR, so they will get the big title match coming up. Let's see. They had a Callis family summit. Now, of course, Blood and Guts will be next Wednesday for them, but let me think. Yes, we will have another episode of this show, and we will preview Blood and Guts on that one before Wednesday. We will not sure if that's going to be late Monday or sometime Tuesday, but we most definitely should have. You know what? Let's do one better. Let's preview it now, because if we don't preview it now, then something crazy will happen and we won't get to preview it. So let's preview it. There we go. Get it set up. Appreciate producer Sassy and Sunshine sticking that on the screen here where I can see it. All right. Here are the matches coming up. All right, we're going to get, so far, there are 3 of them booked. There are 2 Blood and Guts matches, and there is a Falls Count Anywhere. More will get added, I'm sure. between now and then, and who knows? Yeah, maybe we do a late Sunday or something, or whatever it is. I will do some sort of show to preview, if nothing else, nothing but this card. But the women's blood and guts match, which I think might actually be a little better, because it's something different that a lot of these ladies have probably never experienced, and if they have, just man, it's going to be brutal because it's going to be Jamie Hayter, Willow Nightingale, Harley Cameron, Timeless Tony Storm, Mina Shirakawa, and Chris Statlander, all against the Triangle of Madness, which is Julia Hart, Sky Blue, and Tekla, Megan Bayne, Marina Shafir, and Mercedes Monet. Basically, they took the top, or at least 12 of the top, and are going to put them in a blood and guts match, and it is going to be brutal. In the men's side, it is Darby Allin, Roderick Strong, and the Conglomeration, which is Mark Briscoe, Orange Cassidy, and Kyle O'Reilly, versus the Death Riders of John Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli, Wheeler Yuta, Daniel Garcia, and Pac. That one's going to be very brutal as well. And not to be outdone, Hangman Adam Page versus Powerhouse Hobbs in a Falls Count Anywhere match. That kind of happened out of nowhere. Like, he goes from Joe to Hobbs. I guess he's got Shibata next. Kind of a weird transition. Good for Hobbs. As far as predictions, I will say the Death Riders are going to win the men, and I will say that Hayter, Willow, Storm, Cameron, Shirakawa, and Statlander, Chris Statlander's team, will win the women's. And Hangman Adam Page is going to retain. We'll stick with that on that one. But as far as other stuff that happened on AEW Dynamite that was, real big, Kyle O'Reilly versus Mox ended up being a double count out, but it was really good until it happened. It reminded me of their battle in New Japan a couple years ago. It was a multi-man match after that. I kind of don't understand where Athena was in all that blood and guts. She wasn't really in that, so kind of want to see what they do with her going forward. Now that Penelope Ford is injured, she's got a bad wing. Really, really gutted about that because I felt like her and Megan Bayne were probably the leaders in the clubhouse to win the tag titles in that tournament. But her replacement is Marina Shafir. Boy, I would not want to face that team of Megan Bayne and Marina Shafir. Both of them are absolute killers. Penelope is no slouch as well. But we wish her a speedy recovery, and we wish that team the best because they may be the front runners to win it still. And then lastly, versus Ricochet versus Hook versus Samoa Joe to be the number one contender. Was a good, solid match, but I just told you that Hobbs has the next match. So what good did that match do, right? What good did it do? AEW Collision. Takeshita and Okada had to act like teammates, to which they did better than Bowens and Caster did. I think it's just they don't have anything for Bowens and Caster, so they're sticking them back together. They're just rebelling against the whole thing, and so it's coming out as clunky as it is. What else is there? Olympia coming in from AAA, I believe, take on Mercedes Monet. That was a really good match, but of course, Monet gets the best of it, and I thought she had a good performance. You could tell it was really getting to her, and it really runs her down at times. But man, she rebounded, and she really showed that it's no fluke that she has what 7 or 8 or 10, but 14, however many belts it is. Oddly enough, she doesn't have the AEW women's heavyweight or the women's world championship. It's the only one she hadn't won. Be interesting to see what happens there. Now another multi-man match, another multi-man match. I like the trio of Juice Robinson, Ace, Austin, and Austin Gunn as the new Gun Club or whatever you want to call them. I really like them as a trio. I think Ace getting added into there is going to be really great. So when Colton Gunn comes back, it really will be guns up, and that's a foursome that can take on a lot in AEW. TNA, they did this whole Hardy Halloween where they just showed all these Hardy compound matches, and as fascinatingly crazy as those are, I guess they gave them all the week off. It must mean they're doing the TV tapings this week, and we will see. Because what people don't realize with TNA, maybe they get mad at me for saying this. I'll deal with it. They will take a Monday, Tuesday, or a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and they will do like a month's worth of tapings. You guys understand what I'm saying there? Like they'll do like 2 or 3 shows one day, 2 or 3 shows another. They really jam a lot of them in because that way it allows their talent to be able to go other places in between all that. And the only problem with that is that if there's an injury between here and there, you don't hear about it until after the fact. But or they just reshoot stuff, I guess. But it's not a bad strategy. I know other people that do it too. Like I just told you, the NWA did 4 weeks worth of tapings when they were in town. So, it's not unheard of, and it's not a bad thing if they necessarily do it that way because then it allows your talent to go out and do things that way. Uh, NXT, NXT, they are building up to the next big show. It starts off with Trick Williams and Ricky Saints just beating the dog snot out of each other. Then we get to go to a Speed Championship tournament match. Axiom took on Jasper Troy. Thought Axiom did a really good job, and I actually thought Axiom was going to win this, but Jasper Troy just a big old boy, and Axiom couldn't deal with the size advantage, and Jasper Troy gets the win there. We see something between Ava and Sol Ruca and Zarya, where Sol Ruca gives up the Speed title because she said she didn't want anybody to defend that one the way the other one did, which is kind of a shot at Zarya, who was standing there. Zarya gets frustrated and walks off. I hope they don't split that team, but if they do, then as soon as Sol's good, she's getting called up, which is crazy because I think Zarya has more than earned a potential spot to go up as well. We see the Culling come out with our new women's champion, Tatum Paxley. And to the surprise of everybody, she says, well, Halloween Havoc went by and nobody spun the wheel. So that's okay. I brought it back anyway. And the rest of the Culling goes, no, you don't want to, there's been a set of stipulations. I put all the qualifying people on the board that to get a title match. And John Spears calls out, hey, Izzy, your name's not on there. By the time they figure that out, Tatum's already spun that wheel. And it lands on Lola Vice. So later in the night, I'll tell you about that match when we get to it. But we do get to see Kendall Gray defend her title. She had Ren Sinclair down there. Kendall Gray defending the Evolve title against Lash Legend, Atlanta's own Lash Legend. This is a really good match. Kendall Gray is a smaller competitor. Lash Legend is a big competitor. I thought they did a really good job of Lash staying up with the speed and Kendall dealing with the power of Lash. Ultimately, it's Kendall keeping her title in a very, very highly contested, great match. I really enjoyed it. Then we got to see, I call it a bro fight. Anytime friends have to go at it. And Tavion Heights versus Miles Bourne. Now, of course, Josh Briggs was down at ringside, and he got in between it. So him and Tavion are probably going to have some sort of program coming up. Miles Bourne gets the win. It was kind of overshadowed by Trick and Saints, who came in battling as well. Was that the last time that they battled? No, there's still another time. I mean, they almost stole the page out of Premier All Star Wrestling's book, and I'll talk about them in just a second. But right after that, we see Tatum Paxley with the Culling versus Lola Vice. This ends up in a no contest because Fatal Influence comes down and gets involved in the match and leaves both of them laying. All three of them laying, actually, to where it's going to be Izzy Dane, or is it Dame or Dane? I think it's Izzy Dame. Tatum Paxley and Lola Vice are all going to take on JC Jane, Fallon Henley, and Laney Reed of Fatal Influence next week on NXT. So we already know one of the matches. We see Chelsea and Alba Fire and Ethan Page all talking. Small spoiler alert, if you haven't seen it, those three went down to AAA in Mexico, and Chelsea and Ethan challenged for the mixed tag titles and won them. And so on this week's WWE shows, we are supposed to see their celebration. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. And they are interrupted by Joe Hendry, who pops like a Jack in the Box out of a trash can, and then Thea Hale comes by, and I think Hendry is kind of working with Thea Hale because they're starting to pair them up for some things. And I think that could actually help both. Could help them both greatly. And then we get to the main event, which was Jordynne Grace versus Kalani Jordan for the TNA Women's title. I thought Jordan did more than enough to win this, but Kalani, in the end, decided to use the title to her advantage and ends up picking up the victory. This all was overshadowed by this is the third time that Trick Williams and Ricky Saints come down, destroying each other. And this time they go through right there next to the announcers. There's that big tower that everybody stands on. They go through the bottom of that like everybody else does. And that leads to Ava coming out. And she says, you guys want to battle so much. You guys want to fight so much. You guys want to try to make it to where the other one can't get to their feet. Fine. Coming up, it's going to be Ricky Saints, Trick Williams, in a last man standing match. And finally, you guys are going to be done with it. So that's pretty much where we are with that. And so we'll have to see how that one actually goes, what becomes of all of that. Just a lot of really fun things going on with that. And let me look up real quick. Because I know I just saw it drop. In case you guys want to go check out the write-up that yours truly did for the Premier All-Star Wrestling Deadly Alliances show that happened on Saturday, just up the road from where we sit right now at the studio. We open up with Christian Pierce versus the Southern Outlaw Sean Nelson. Really good, highly contested match. Sean Nelson is one of the biggest fan favorites at Premier. Just really no nonsense, old school style. Even when my dad saw the Premier show, he said, "Man, I really like that Sean Nelson guy," because he felt like the NWA style that my dad grew up in and that he showed me as I was growing up. And I agree with that. And Christian Pierce, as I say on my write-up, Christian Pierce is somebody that it feels like the crowd wants to cheer. I don't know if he wants that. I don't know if Premier wants that or not, but it's hard to pull for somebody who's facing Sean Nelson. So in this case, they definitely booed him. But Christian Pierce, really good worker, really matches up well with Sean Nelson. And Sean's been on this show before. Sean's fantastic, and just really like chatting with that guy. Lamar Phillips with Richard Page took on Ashton Martin. And anytime that Lethal Gaines is in a match, and Lamar Phillips is one third of Lethal Gaines with Chris Gaines and Ryan Marks. Anytime any of them are in a match in Premier, their titles are on the line. If it was on the line here, unfortunately for Ashton, the inexperience against just the modern Viking that is Lamar Phillips, and I very much call him that, as a compliment, was just too much. So Lamar was able to defend his six-man titles in a one-on-one match. Um, Sort of newest member or stand-in member because Ryan Marks was not here for the night. He was elsewhere at it on good authority a good while back that he was unfortunately somewhere else and couldn't make it. But he's good for everybody who wants to know. Although sidebar, we know the Devil Ryan Marks, as he is so affectionately known at I believe GEW and 12 gauge. We'll get to them in a minute. I think being put in that casket and the lid closing has warped him. It's messed with him a little bit. Um, yeah, and I'll talk about that in the coming weeks. Not not terribly concerned, but we're starting to see a side of Ryan that I haven't really seen in the small time that I've known him. And like I said, I'm not concerned. It could be for the better, but it's maybe it's the side that's ready for prime time. We'll get more into that in the coming weeks because it was just interesting to me. But De Silva with Richard Page took on Xander Warwick. Xander Warwick. Um, as good as Xander is, man, he is a fireball of energy and everything. De Silva he is like a modern day Taz. Taz didn't run as much as De Silva was, which makes De Silva that much more of a terror that he can run the ropes and jump off of things and all that. But he is just a suplex machine, and if he gets his paws on you, he is not letting go. So De Silva ends up with the win in that one. But as Page is celebrating that because now that Xander has officially lost to a member of Greatness Inc., which is Page's faction, then technically that means Xander can never get his hands on Page, except for cue the music. Here comes Simon Thurman, the legend Simon Thurman. I believe I called him a national treasure. He comes out and he baits Page into a match, and he says, "Hey, I tell you what, all three members that are here of Greatness Inc. slash Lethal Games, the two members of Lethal Games and De Silva. How about we have a trios match where it's Simon Thurman, Xander Ward, and a partner we pick. And if we win, we not only get the titles, but Xander gets a piece of you on the next show." And before he can get talked out of it, Richard Page is so sure of himself that his team is going to win that he agrees to it. He agrees to it. And so the match is set for later on in the night. Now, not to be outdone, Simon Thurman does give Richard a nickname, which is a shortened form of the name Richard. And no, it's not Ricky or Rick. Starts with a different letter, but rhymes with that. And so, if you've ever been to a wrestling show and wondered how many different things will the crowd actually chant, and for the crowd that was there, oh boy, that was funny to hear that chanted at a wrestling show. It really was. And it was fitting. It wasn't just because somebody planned it. No, that organically started up, and I got to thank Simon Thurman for hearing that word chanted at a wrestling match. I thought it was cracking me up, and I know a lot of other people enjoyed being able to chant that. So it led to match number 4, which was right after the intermission. That was Lethal Gains of Lamar Phillips and Chris Gaines with De Silva, and they had Richard Page defending the Ultimate Six-Man Championship against Simon Thurman, Xander Warwick, and Ashton Martin, who had already gotten a piece of Lamar earlier. So this one goes back and forth and back and forth, and the melee happens. And at some point, Lamar Phillips and Simon Thurman, like if this is the ring, they battle this side. And Chris Gaines and Xander Warwick, they go this way. So it leaves De Silva and Ashton Martin in the ring. De Silva gets knocked down. Ashton Martin does a frog splash from the top. You get the 1, you get the 2, you get the 3. And we have brand new Ultimate Six-Man Tag Team Champions, Simon Sermon, Xander Horick, and Aston Martin are your new Six-Man Tag Team Champions. So congratulations to them. Congratulations to them. It is well done. I don't think we've heard the last of Lethal Gaines, Richard Page, De Silva, or any of the Greatness Inc. or anything like that. I think this is only the beginning. But what a great curveball in the middle of the show. See a giant title change. Then they follow that with Xander Seabolt versus Jesse Cruz. Jesse is new to Premier All-Star Wrestling. He's a smaller guy, especially compared to Xander Seabolt, who is not a small guy at all. What I liked about this is that Jesse had this energy. He was kind of like Warwick. He has this energy. He just kept throwing himself, kept trying, just kept going. The problem is Xander Seabolt don't mess around. He don't mess around. He is methodical. Everything has meaning, and he's only going to do it if it's going to make sense and create the damage he's trying to create. And so no matter what Jesse Cruz threw at him, Xander Seabolt was able to counter it with a big-time power move, and in the end, gets that crushing, or what was it? It was a spinning back suplex into a Claymore kick, into a crushing side slam, and Seabolt gets your victory. I think Seabolt's one of the more underrated people at Premier right now. And the fact that he's paired up with Stevie Ray Frost, who has a big match coming up, not only I'm about to talk about, but another one coming up at the next show. I think if you're his opponent, you got to keep your eyes in the back of your head because Seabolt's already inserted himself into a Stevie Ray Frost match, and Stevie Ray Frost has been the Premier Heavyweight Champion for about 14 or 15 months up to this point. So you got to think, if he needs Seabolt's going to help him hang on to that, right? So we get to the main event, which is Stevie Ray Frost and Madman Mason against Alexander Lev and AJ Black. Of course, anytime these four are involved, it was just a melee and a lot of big stuff everywhere. They really isolated Lev for a while. He got the hot tag on Black that came in and did some big stuff as well. In the end, at one point, AJ was down, and he's going to tag Lev for the hot tag to bring him in, and Madman Mason had ran around and knocked Lev off the apron. Well, instead of Lev jumping up on the apron to maybe try to get the tag again, he went after Mason, and they battled all the way to the back. And we'll get into what they're doing here in a minute. But still, that left AJ, and that left Frost, and Frost grabs his title. Match still going on. Grabs his title, grabs a microphone, and he pulls out a plank of wood that has barbed wire wrapped around it. Yes, I checked multiple times from my seat to make sure that it was not exploding barbed wire or it was nothing like that, because the last time he had an object like that in his hand, I thought it was barbed wire and it was an exploding bat. I made sure this time it was just barbed wire, just barbed wire. So he puts in the ring and he tells AJ Black, here, I guess I could do this like this. There we go. And he goes, AJ, I don't think you have the coconut. Pick that up and hit me with it. And he even turns around and he says, I know you don't have, I'm paraphrasing words he's using. You don't have the coconut to hit me with it. What makes it worse? And he makes a comment about Doug Summers, which is the grandfather of AJ Black, which angers him to where he picks it up and he just can't do it. And so Frost laughs. He gets out of the ring, drops the microphone, and he starts walking to the back. Now, at this point, AJ Black picks it up and he says, I'm not going to hit you with this. But at the next show, which is November 29th in Carrollton, at the Church Without Walls, similar to this building I'm in right here, it's going to be AJ Black going for the heavyweight title that Stevie Ray Frost has on his shoulder in a barbed wire steel cage match. Yep, they had a 2-on-2 cage match a couple months back. It was brutal. Imagine a barbed wire steel cage match. Wow. Just wow. And not to be outdone, swap shoulders here. There we go. Not to be outdone, there is a Monsters Ball match between Alexander Lev and Madman Mason. And Alexander Lev already called out Madman Mason and any other monsters that want to partake in this. One has already accepted the call, and that is one Atrocity Cruel, the current MLW heavyweight champion. Current MLW heavyweight champion. Can you believe that? So what a crazy show that's going to be. What a crazy show that's going to be for Premiere. And what a crazy weekend that was. But another crazy weekend coming up this weekend. Anybody that wants to know what the old Impact's up for, Impact Media, if you go tomorrow night to the Atlanta Ice House in Kennesaw/Marietta, it's right past Town Center Mall. If you go there, then you will see or hear me, or if you're on the YouTube broadcast, as I call the KSU hockey game against, I believe it's UGA, KSU men's team. The KSU women's team will be, this is, I think Saturday or Sunday is going to face UGA in Athens. We will talk more about that on Board Check. But also this weekend up in Rome, I was just close there earlier today. Up in Rome, you're going to see 12 gauge professional wrestling breaking the silence. It's going to be a fantastic event. I can't wait to be a part of it. I'm so glad that my schedule cleared. I literally had 4 or 5 hurdles or closed doors that were making it really hard for me to probably be at this. And they have all since cleared. So I will definitely be there. Come on out. If you're near Rome, come on out. 7:30 bell time. Tickets are way affordable. They're like $10 for like, I think they're like 10, something like that, for seats to this. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's just an incredible show. Come see it. We're gonna get to see Troy Carter and Chris Crunk. Of course, Troy Carter hit Chris Crunk in the coconuts on the last show and completely turned his back on the fans. We had him on the show earlier this week to try to explain himself. I think you'll get a better explanation and a further explanation at the show. We will get to see Narcissism versus Rico Bravo. And what, I got to go with what Rocky said, even though I'm going to paraphrase it. You got Rico Bravo, who was the future. And I said, not the past, but the present in Narcissism. That's going to be spectacular. We're going to get to see the return of Isabella Wilder as she takes on Eden Monroe. The last time these two ladies faced off, they dang near stole the show. We are going to get to see Braden Toon versus DRP, or to a lot of 12 gauge fans, Blue Pants. We're going to get to see Walker 13 defend his heavyweight title against Sean Christopher. And as I said, it is not the only time that they have faced off, but I think they are different people now, and I cannot wait for this. And then the battle of the big men, as our warden, the warden, takes on Stephen Michaels. And everything anybody's ever told me about Stephen Michaels, it is a big, bad monster of a dude. I was like, well, you just described the warden, who has really been tearing some stuff up lately. So this is going to be King Kong versus Godzilla. TNT apparently heard me, because earlier today I saw that that movie was on TV. But we have reached the end of the show. So thanks for tuning in to another great edition of Strong Style. I'm your host, Jeremy the Impact York. If you're near Rome, please come see us at 12 gauge. If you're near Kennesaw tomorrow night, come to the Atlanta Ice House and see some KSU hockey. And until then, we will see you guys next time. Deuces, gooses. Go watch wrestling. Go watch fighting.